Admiral Vextar Cole stood on the bridge of his massive warship and smiled. His sharp teeth gleamed in the light from the burning human space stations. Around Earth, the remains of humanity's once proud fleet floated like broken toys. Metal pieces drifted slowly through space, still glowing hot from the weapons that had destroyed them. "The humans are finished," said his second-in-command, a tall alien with purple skin and 4 arms. "Their pathetic fleet lasted only 3 months against our superior forces." Vextar nodded and looked at the blue planet below. Earth hung in space like a wounded animal. Dark smoke rose from several continents where his fleet had bombed the major cities. The humans had fought bravely. He had to admit that. But bravery meant nothing against the combined might of the Galactic Confederation. On the other side, the bridge, Captain Jake Morrison floated in his small escape pod. His ship, the Earth Defense Force cruiser Liberty, had been one of the last to fall. Jake watched through the small window as alien ships moved around Earth like hungry sharks. His heart felt heavy as he listened to the enemy radio chatter. "The human homeworld is now under our control," came a voice through the communications. "All remaining human forces have surrendered. The war is over." Jake closed his eyes and thought about his wife and children back on Earth. Were they still alive? The aliens had promised to treat prisoners well, but Jake knew better than to trust their words. These creatures had attacked without warning, destroying everything humans had built in space not 3 months ago. Life had been good. Earth's colonies were growing. Trade ships moved between the stars. Humanity was proud of what they had achieved. Then the aliens came with their demands. They wanted Earth to join their confederation as a slave world. When humanity refused, the war began. The human fleet had fought hard. Every ship, every space station, every orbital defense platform had joined the battle. But the aliens were too strong. They had ships from a dozen different worlds, each one more advanced than anything humans could build. One by one, Earth's defenses fell. Admiral Lisa Carter sat in her command chair on the hidden asteroid base, watching the final reports come in. Her small fleet of 20 ships was all that remained of humanity's once mighty space force. The aliens thought they had won, but Lisa knew something they did not. "Admiral," said her communications officer, a young woman named Kelly Brooks, "we're getting the final transmission from Earth. President Hayes is surrendering." Lisa's hands tightened on the arms of her chair. President Hayes was a good man, but he had no choice. The aliens were threatening to destroy every city on Earth if he did not give up. Billions of lives hung in the balance. "Send a message to all ships," Lisa said quietly. "Tell them to power down and wait. Do not attack. Do not reveal our position. We will have our chance." On the alien flagship, Vextar was already planning the occupation of Earth. His species, the Zephyrians, would take control of the northern continents. The Quillians would get the southern lands. Other alien races would divide up the rest of the planet. The humans would work in the mines and factories, serving their new masters. "The humans were weak," said the purple-skinned alien. They had no real weapons, no advanced technology. "This was easier than we expected." Vextar laughed. "Yes, they were like children playing with toys. Their ships were slow, and their weapons were primitive. I almost feel sorry for them." But deep beneath the Nevada desert, 3 miles underground, something was stirring. Dr. Ryan Walsh stood in front of a wall of computer screens, watching numbers scroll by. The readings showed massive energy signatures from deep inside the Earth. Construction that had been going on for 30 years was finally complete. "Are the seismic dampeners working?" Ryan asked his assistant. "Yes, sir. The aliens cannot detect anything from the surface. As far as they know, these are just normal earthquake readings." Ryan smiled grimly. The aliens thought they had won, but they had no idea what was waiting for them. Humanity had learned long ago that the galaxy was a dangerous place. While they had been building their visible fleet, they had also been working on something else. Something the aliens would never expect. In the Galactic Council chambers on the distant world of Centauri Prime, alien leaders were already discussing how to divide up human territory. The spider-like arachnids wanted the asteroid mining rights. The gaseous nebulans claimed the outer planets. Everyone wanted a piece of the human empire. The humans were fools to resist us, said the council chairman, a massive creature with tentacles instead of arms. They should have accepted our generous offer to become a client species. Their technology was centuries behind ours, agreed another council member. They had no chance of victory. Back on Earth, Jake Morrison's escape pod was picked up by an alien rescue ship. As he was brought aboard, he looked back at his home planet one last time. The aliens had won this battle, but Jake felt something in his heart. A feeling that this was not the end of the story. The alien guards pushed him toward the prisoner-holding area. Other human survivors were already there, their faces showing defeat and despair. But Jake noticed something in their eyes. A spark that had not been extinguished. These people had not given up hope. What happens now? Asked one of the prisoners, a young pilot named Tony Martinez. Jake looked at him and then at the others. Now we wait, he said quietly. And we remember that we are human. We don't stay down when we're knocked down. The aliens celebrated their victory, not knowing that their celebration would be very short. Colonel Amy Brooks walked through the massive underground tunnel, her boots echoing on the metal floor. The tunnel stretched for miles beneath the Nevada desert, carved from solid rock over 30 years of secret construction. Above her head, the aliens celebrated their victory, but they had no idea what lay hidden beneath their feet. Status report, Amy said into her radio as she entered the main construction bay. All systems green, Colonel, came the reply from Commander Steve Parker, the chief engineer. We're running final checks on the quantum cannon arrays. The fusion reactors are stable, and the armor plating is responding perfectly to tests. Amy smiled as she looked up at the massive shape in front of her. The Terran Vengeance stretched. For over 2 miles in length, its dark hull gleaming under the artificial lights. This was humanity's greatest secret, and it was finally ready. The ship was enormous, bigger than anything the aliens had ever seen. Its hull was made of a special metal that could change shape and thickness based on what was attacking it. The weapon systems were decades ahead of anything currently in space. But most importantly, the ship was invisible to alien sensors. How are the other ships? Amy asked. All 11 are ready for launch, Steve replied. The Earth's Fury finished its final tests yesterday. The Human Pride is loading ammunition. The Freedom's Edge is running crew drills. They're all waiting for your order. Amy nodded and walked toward the ship's entrance. 30 years ago, when humanity first detected alien radio signals, some smart people had realized that contact might not be peaceful. They had started the Dreadnought project in secret, building these massive warships deep underground where no one could see them. Inside the Terran Vengeance, Captain Karen Lewis was briefing her crew in the main meeting room. The room was filled with humanity's best officers, men and women who had trained their entire lives for this moment. Many of them had never seen the surface world, having been born and raised in the underground facilities. Listen carefully, Karen said, looking at each face in the room. The aliens think they have won. They think humanity is defeated. That is exactly what we want them to think. Our job is to prove them wrong. Lieutenant Commander Tony Martinez, who had escaped from the alien prison ship 3 weeks ago, stood up. What are our chances, Captain? Karen smiled. The aliens have about 800 ships in orbit around Earth. We have 12, but our ships are better. Our weapons are stronger. And most importantly, we have something they do not have. What's that? Asked another officer. We're fighting for our home, Karen replied. They're fighting for conquest. There's a big difference. Deep in the ship's engine room, Chief Engineer Danny Roberts was making final adjustments to the quantum drive. This engine was humanity's greatest achievement, capable of moving the massive Dreadnought faster than any alien ship. The quantum cannons drew power directly from the engine, making them incredibly destructive. The fusion reactors are running at 98% efficiency, Danny reported. The quantum field generators are stable. The gravitational weapons are charged and ready. This ship is ready to fight. In another part of the underground complex, Dr. Ryan Walsh was coordinating with resistance cells on the surface. The aliens had occupied Earth's major cities, but they had no idea that every city contained hidden weapon caches and communication networks. Cell 7 reports that the aliens have stationed guards at all major buildings, came a voice through the radio. But they're not searching the subway tunnels. Good, Ryan replied. Tell all cells to stay hidden until we give the signal. When the Dreadnoughts emerge, we'll hit the aliens from both space and ground. On the surface, the aliens continued their occupation. They had set up command posts in every major city, believing that humanity was completely defeated. Vextar Cole had moved his headquarters to New York, taking over the top floors of a skyscraper. From his office, he could see the burned remains of the human fleet in orbit. The humans are adapting to their new status, his aide reported. There have been a few small protests, but nothing we cannot handle. They seem to understand that resistance is futile. Vextar nodded, satisfied. Good. Begin the mining operations in Australia. The Quillians want to start their factories in South America. Make sure the human workers understand their new roles. But beneath the surface, something was happening that the aliens could not detect. The 12 dreadnoughts were moving into position for launch. Each ship was hidden in a different part of the world, their launch sites disguised as natural formations. Captain Nick Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Freedom's Edge, watching the final preparations through the ship's cameras. His ship was hidden beneath what looked like a small mountain in the Sahara Desert. The launch system would blast away thousands of tons of rock and sand when the time came. All crew members report ready, his first officer announced. The ship is sealed and pressurized. Weapons are charged. We're ready to show these aliens what humans can do. At the South Pole, Captain Beth Taylor was making similar preparations aboard the Human Pride. Her ship was hidden beneath the ice, its thermal systems keeping it warm in the frozen environment. When the ship launched, it would melt through a mile of ice in seconds. The cloaking systems are working perfectly, Beth reported to Underground Command. The aliens flew right over us yesterday and detected nothing. They have no idea where. Here, back in the main command center, Colonel Amy Brooks was receiving final reports from all 12 ships. Each dreadnought was a masterpiece of human engineering, built with technology that was years ahead of anything the aliens possessed. But more than that, each ship was crewed by people who had one thing the aliens did not understand. They were fighting for their families, their homes, their very existence. All ships report ready, Amy announced to the assembled commanders. The aliens think they have won. They think humanity is beaten. In exactly 6 hours, we're going to show them how wrong they are. The underground facilities hummed with activity, as thousands of people prepared for the moment they had trained for their entire lives. Above them, the aliens celebrated their victory, not knowing that their celebration was about to become a nightmare. Humanity's greatest secret was about to be revealed. The first sign that something was wrong came at exactly midnight, Earth time. Admiral Vextar Cole was sleeping in his quarters aboard the flagship when the ship's alarm systems woke him up. Red lights flashed throughout the corridors as he rushed to the bridge. What's happening? he demanded. Seismic activity on the planet's surface, reported his science officer, a nervous creature with large eyes and gray skin. The readings are off the charts. It's like the entire planet is shaking. Vextar looked at the sensor displays, but the readings made no sense. Earthquakes don't work like this. These patterns are too regular, too precise. Sir? Called another. Officer, we're detecting massive energy signatures from multiple locations on the planet. I've never seen anything like it. In the Pacific Ocean, the water began to churn and foam. Something enormous was rising from the depths, displacing millions of tons of seawater. The alien ships in orbit watched in confusion as what looked like. A mountain emerged from the ocean floor. Captain Amy Brooks stood on the bridge of the Terran Vengeance as her ship broke the surface. Water cascaded off the massive hull as the Dreadnought systems automatically adjusted from underwater operation to spaceflight. The ship's armor plates shifted and locked into their combat configuration. All systems green, reported Commander Steve Parker. The ship is ready for space operations. Quantum drive is online. Weapons are charged and ready. Amy smiled grimly as she looked at the alien ships scattered around Earth's orbit. They were trying to understand what was happening, but their sensors couldn't penetrate the dreadnoughts. Stealth fields. To them, it was just a massive energy signature with no clear shape. Launch us, Amy ordered. The Terran Vengeance rose from the ocean like a great metal whale, its 2-mile length blocking out the stars. The alien ships began to move toward it, but they were too slow and too confused to react properly. In the Just Sahara Desert, the sand began to shift and move. What the aliens had thought was a natural hill suddenly exploded outward, revealing the sleek hull of the Freedom's Edge. Captain Nick Rodriguez watched as his ship's launch system blasted away. Thousands of tons of sand and rock. Beautiful, he said as the desert fell away beneath them. Absolutely beautiful. The ship's engines roared to life, pushing the massive dreadnought up through the atmosphere and into space. The alien patrol ships in the area scrambled to respond, but they had no idea what they were facing. At the South Pole, the ice began to crack and melt. The Human Pride's thermal systems were working perfectly, turning solid ice into steam as the ship pushed upward. Captain Beth Taylor felt the ship shudder as it broke through the last layer of ice and into the cold Antarctic air. The thermal systems are working perfectly, she reported. We're clear of the ice and ascending to orbit. All around the world, the same scene was playing out. The Earth's fury emerged from beneath the Rocky Mountains, its launch disguised as a volcanic eruption. The humanity shield rose from the Amazon rainforest, its camouflage systems making it look like a massive tree until the moment it launched. One by one, all 12 dreadnoughts emerged from their hidden locations and began their ascent to space. The aliens watched in growing panic as these enormous ships appeared seemingly from nowhere. What are those things? Vextar demanded as his bridge crew tried to make sense of the sensor readings. Unknown, sir, replied his weapons officer. They're huge, but our targeting systems can't lock onto them. It's like they're not really there. That's impossible. We can see them. Yes, sir, but our computers say there's nothing there. The stealth technology is beyond anything we've encountered. Captain Jake Morrison, who had escaped from the alien prison ship, was hiding in the ruins of New York when he saw the first dreadnought appear in the sky. The massive ship blotted out the moon. As it rose toward the stars, its hull gleaming in the city lights. My God, he whispered. What is that thing? Other humans throughout the world were asking the same question. The aliens had kept the existence of the dreadnoughts secret, but now there was no hiding them. The ships were enormous, clearly human. In design, and obviously built for war. In the underground command center, Colonel Amy Brooks was coordinating the emergence of all 12 ships. Status reports came in from each dreadnought as they reached orbit and took their positions around Earth. "All ships report successful launch," announced Lieutenant Kelly Brooks. "The fleet is in position and ready for combat operations." Amy nodded. "Send the message to all resistance cells. It's time to show these aliens what humans can do." On the surface, the resistance cells that had been hiding for months suddenly came to life. Hidden weapons caches were opened. Communication networks activated. In every occupied city, humans began to move against their alien oppressors. The aliens had no idea what was happening. Their occupation forces were trained to deal with defeated humans, not with a coordinated resistance backed by the most advanced warships they had ever seen. "We're getting reports of human uprising in every major city," reported Vexstar's communications officer. "The humans are attacking our occupation forces with weapons we've never seen before. How is this possible?" Vexstar demanded. "We destroyed their military. We crushed their fleet. Where are these weapons coming from?" "Unknown, sir. And we're still trying to understand these massive ships. They're not responding to our communications." The Terran Vengeance moved slowly toward the alien flagship, its massive bulk dwarfing even the largest alien vessels. Captain Amy Brooks stood on the bridge, watching the enemy ships scramble to form defensive positions. "Target their command ship," she ordered. "Let's introduce ourselves properly." The Dreadnoughts' quantum cannons began to charge, drawing power from the ship's fusion reactors. The weapons were designed to punch through any known shielding system, and the aliens were about to discover just how effective they were. "Incoming transmission from the alien flagship," reported the communications officer. "Put it through," Amy said. Vexstar's face appeared on the main screen, his expression showing both fear and anger. "Unknown human vessels, you will stand down. Immediately. You are in violation of the surrender agreement." Amy smiled coldly. "Admiral, there seems to be some confusion. We never surrendered. We were just getting ready." "Impossible. We destroyed your fleet. We control your world." "You destroyed our old fleet," Amy replied. "You're about to meet our new one." The quantum cannons finished charging, and the Terran Vengeance prepared to fire its first shot in anger. Around Earth, 11 other dreadnoughts were taking aim at alien targets. The real battle was about to begin. The first shot from the Terran Vengeance lit up space like a miniature sun. The quantum cannon array fired with the fury of a planet that had been pushed too far. The beam of pure energy struck Admiral Vexstar Cole's flagship directly in the center, and the massive alien vessel simply ceased to exist. "Direct hit," reported Commander Steve Parker, watching the explosion through the ship's sensors. "The target has been completely destroyed." Captain Amy Brooks nodded grimly. "One down. 799 to go." The alien fleet, which had been celebrating their victory just moments before, suddenly found themselves facing an enemy unlike anything they had ever encountered. The 12 human dreadnoughts moved through space like deadly shadows, their stealth systems making them nearly impossible to target. "All ships, attack formation delta," Amy ordered over the fleet communications. "Show them what happens when you threaten Earth." The Freedom's Edge, commanded by Captain Nick Rodriguez, opened fire on a squadron of Quillian destroyers. The ship's gravitational weapons created invisible force fields that crushed the alien vessels like empty cans. The aliens inside didn't even have time to scream before their ships were compressed into balls of twisted metal. "Target destroyed," Nick reported, moving to next target. Captain Beth Taylor aboard the Human Pride was dealing with a group of arachnid cruisers. These spider-like aliens prided themselves on their advanced technology, but their weapons couldn't even scratch the Dreadnought's adaptive armor. "Their weapons are like toys," Beth said as enemy fire bounced harmlessly off her ship's hull. "Return fire, full spread." The human pride's weapon systems unleashed a devastating barrage. Plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, and gravitational pulses struck the alien ships simultaneously. The arachnid cruisers exploded in sequence, their crews never understanding what had killed them. On the surface of Earth, the resistance cells were coordinating their attacks with the space battle above. Captain Jake Morrison, who had escaped from alien custody, was leading a group of freedom fighters through the streets of New York. "The aliens in the financial district are panicking," reported Tony Martinez over the radio. "Their reinforcements can't get through. We've got them trapped." Jake smiled as he watched alien soldiers running in terror. These were the same creatures who had been strutting around the city like conquerors just hours before. Now they were discovering that occupying Earth was much harder than conquering it. "Remember," Jake said to his team, "we want prisoners, not bodies. These aliens are going to answer for what they've done to our world." In space, the battle was becoming a massacre. The alien fleet had been designed to fight other alien ships, not the technological marvels that humanity had created. The Dreadnoughts were faster, stronger, and more advanced than anything the Galactic Confederation had ever built. Captain Karen Lewis, aboard the Earth's Fury, was single-handedly destroying an entire alien squadron. Her ship's quantum cannons fired repeatedly, each shot vaporizing enemy vessels. The aliens tried to coordinate their attacks, but the Dreadnoughts' defenses were too strong. "These aliens thought they could conquer us," Karen said as another enemy ship exploded. "They're learning that humans don't give up easily." The alien communications channels were filled with panic. Ship commanders were screaming for help, reporting that their weapons were useless against the human ships. Some aliens were already trying to flee, but the Dreadnoughts were too fast. "Unknown human vessels," came a desperate transmission from one of the alien captains. "We request immediate ceasefire. We are willing to negotiate." Amy Brooks heard the message and smiled coldly. "Negotiate? You had your chance to negotiate 3 months ago. You chose war instead." The Terran Vengeance's weapon systems targeted the alien ship that had sent the message. The quantum cannons charged for a moment, then fired. The alien vessel vanished in a ball of superheated plasma. "No surrender," Amy announced on all frequencies. "No quarter. You wanted to see what humans could do. Now you're seeing it." The battle continued for 6 hours, but it was never really in doubt. The alien fleet, which had seemed so powerful when attacking Earth's outdated defenses, was completely outmatched by the Dreadnoughts. Ship after ship was destroyed, until the space around Earth was filled with wreckage. Captain Danny Roberts, commanding the ship called Humanity's Wrath, was pursuing a group of fleeing alien vessels. His ship's quantum drive allowed him to easily catch up with the slower alien ships. "You can run," he said as his weapons locked onto the fleeing enemies, "but you can't hide." The quantum cannons fired again, and 3 more alien ships were reduced to expanding clouds of gas and debris. On the surface, the resistance cells had completely turned the tables on the alien occupation forces. The creatures who had been ruling Earth's cities were now hiding in whatever shelter they could find, begging for mercy from the humans they had been oppressing. "Central Command, this is Tony Martinez," came a radio transmission. "We've secured the alien command post in Chicago. The enemy commander is requesting terms for surrender." Similar reports were coming in from around the world. The aliens who had been so confident in their victory were now discovering that conquering humanity was impossible. Every time they thought they had won, humans found a way to fight back. In the wreckage of the alien fleet, a few surviving ships were trying to escape Earth's gravity. But the Dreadnoughts were everywhere, hunting down the fleeing enemies. With ruthless efficiency, "Let a few of them go," Amy ordered. "We want survivors to spread the word. The galaxy needs to know what happens when you attack Earth." The Earth's shield, commanded by Captain Lisa Murphy, was dealing with the last organized group of alien resistance. A dozen enemy ships had formed a defensive formation, hoping to make a fighting retreat. They're trying to protect their transport. Ships, Lisa observed. Those must be carrying their ground forces. Not anymore, replied her weapons officer. Quantum torpedoes, locked and ready. The torpedoes streaked through space, each one capable of destroying a city. The alien defensive formation lasted exactly 30 seconds before it was completely annihilated. As the battle ended, the 12 dreadnoughts took up positions around Earth. The space around the planet, which had been filled with alien ships just hours before, was now littered with wreckage. The Galactic Confederation's mighty fleet had been completely destroyed. All ships report mission accomplished, announced Lieutenant Kelly Brooks. The alien fleet has been eliminated. Earth is secure. Amy Brooks looked at the debris field that had once been humanity's conquerors. Send a message to the Galactic Council, she ordered. Tell them that Earth is not interested in being anyone's slave world. Tell them that humanity is ready to take its place among the stars. The message was transmitted across the galaxy, carried by the few alien ships that had been allowed to escape. The species that had attacked Earth would never forget what they had learned. Humanity was not as weak as they had appeared, and they had very long memories. 3 months after the Battle of Earth, the 12 dreadnoughts arrived at Centauri Prime, the capital world of the Galactic Confederation. The massive human warships took positions around the planet, their dark hulls blocking out the light from the system's twin suns. The alien government watched in terror as the same species they had dismissed as primitive now held the fate of their civilization in their hands. Admiral Amy Brooks, promoted from colonel after the victory at Earth, stood on the bridge of the Terran Vengeance. The ship's communications array was broadcasting her image to every world in the galaxy, carried by quantum transmissions that reached across thousands of light years. People of the galaxy, Amy began, her voice calm but firm. 3 months ago, the Galactic Confederation attacked Earth without warning. You were told that humans were weak, that we would surrender easily. You were told that we had no real weapons, no advanced technology. Today, I stand before you as proof that you were. Lead to. On Centauri Prime, the alien leaders huddled in their council chambers, afraid to even look at the view screens. The chairman, a massive creature with tentacles for arms, had been one of the loudest voices calling for humanity's conquest. Now he could barely speak. The humans have come for revenge, whispered one of the council members. They're going to destroy us all, but Amy's next words surprised them. However, humanity is not here for revenge. We are here to establish a new order in the galaxy. The old system, where strong species conquered weak ones, is over. From now on, the galaxy will be governed by different rules. Captain Nick Rodriguez, commanding the Freedom's Edge, was monitoring the alien military bases on Centauri Prime. The planet's defense fleet had been recalled, but the ships remained in their docking bays, afraid to challenge the human dreadnoughts. The aliens are scared, Nick reported. Their entire fleet is staying hidden. They know they can't fight us. Amy nodded. Good. Fear will keep them honest. The terms that Amy presented to the Galactic Council were simple but firm. The species that had attacked Earth would pay reparations for the damage they had caused. They would rebuild what they had destroyed and provide compensation to the families of those who had died. The occupation of Earth would be acknowledged as a war crime. The Zephyrian Confederation will provide materials and labor to rebuild our orbital stations, Amy announced. The Quillian Empire will compensate the families of our dead. The Arachnid Collective will contribute technology to help repair the damage done to Earth's surface. But Amy's message wasn't just about punishment. For those species that remained neutral during the war, humanity offers friendship and trade. We have much to offer the galaxy. Our technology, our knowledge, our partnership. We seek allies, not subjects. Dr. Ryan Walsh, who had coordinated the Dreadnought project from the beginning, was now sharing humanity's scientific discoveries with allied species. The quantum drive technology that powered the Dreadnoughts was being adapted for peaceful use. The gravitational weapons were being turned into tools for asteroid mining and planetary engineering. The humans are sharing their technology freely, reported the ambassador from the Healer Collective, a species that had refused to join the attack on Earth. They're offering to help us cure diseases that have plagued our people for centuries. On Earth, the reconstruction was proceeding rapidly. The alien occupation had lasted only 3 months, but the damage had been severe. Captain Jake Morrison, now promoted to Admiral and placed in charge of the rebuilt Earth Defense Force, was overseeing the installation of new defensive systems. The orbital platforms are online, reported his aide, Commander Tony Martinez. New weapon systems are based on Dreadnought technology. Nothing like the old war will ever happen again. Jake looked up at the stars, where the 12 Dreadnoughts continued their patrol of human space. Good. Earth will never be defenseless. Again, the revelation of humanity's true capabilities had sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Species that had been considering joining the attack on Earth suddenly changed their minds. The Galactic Council, which had been so confident in their superiority, found themselves begging for mercy. "We had no idea," the council chairman pleaded. During a private communication with Amy, "We thought the humans were technologically inferior. We were told your species was primitive." Amy's expression remained cold. "You were told what you wanted to hear. You saw a young species and assumed we were weak. You forgot that young species can also be dangerous species." The economic impact of the war was enormous. The Galactic Confederation's economy had been built on the assumption that they could conquer and exploit weaker species. With humanity now protecting those species, the old system was collapsing. "Trade requests are coming in from all over the galaxy," reported Captain Beth Taylor from the Human Pride. "Species that have been oppressed for centuries are asking for our protection." Amy smiled. "Granted. Let the galaxy know that humanity protects those who cannot protect themselves." The Dreadnoughts became symbols of hope for oppressed species. Throughout the galaxy, the massive ships appeared wherever bullies threatened the weak, their presence alone enough to prevent conflicts. The galaxy was learning that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their weapons, but their willingness to stand up for what was right. Captain Karen Lewis, now commanding a rebuilt Earth fleet in addition to her Dreadnought, was establishing new trade routes with friendly species. "The Centauri Republic wants to establish a joint research station," she reported. "The Vegan Collective is offering to share their agricultural technology. The galaxy is changing, and we're leading that change." 1 year after the Battle of Earth, the first galactic democracy was established. Representatives from hundreds of species gathered on a neutral world to draft new laws. The principles were simple. No species could be enslaved, no world could be conquered without cause, and disputes would be settled through negotiation rather than warfare. "The humans have given us something we never had before," said the representative. "From the Tau Ceti Alliance. Hope. For the first time in galactic history, the strong are protecting the weak instead of exploiting them." But humanity wasn't content to rest on their victories. Deep beneath Earth's surface, new shipyards were already under construction. The second generation of Dreadnoughts was being designed, even more advanced than the first. The galaxy was vast, and there were still threats lurking in the dark spaces between the stars. "We've learned our lesson," Amy said during a speech to the Earth Parliament. "The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. We will never again allow ourselves to be caught unprepared." The Galactic Council, meanwhile, was struggling to maintain relevance in the new order. The old system of conquest and exploitation was no longer viable. Species that had been part of the Confederation were leaving to join the new galactic democracy. We made a mistake, the council chairman admitted in a private message to Amy. We underestimated humanity. We thought strength meant only military power. We didn't understand that true strength comes from protecting others. Amy's response was measured, but firm. The galaxy has room for everyone, including those who made mistakes, but those mistakes have consequences. Earn your place in the new order through your actions, not your words. The 12 Dreadnoughts continued their patrol of known space, their presence a reminder that the galaxy had changed forever. The species that had celebrated humanity's apparent defeat had learned a hard lesson about underestimating their enemies, and in the depths of space, new human colonies were being established, protected by the most advanced fleet,